Welcome back to an update video, and 2026 has seen a surprising number of confirmed exam paper errors across multiple exam boards. Now, some were minor and quickly corrected, while others caused quite a great deal of confusion during the exam itself. Here are some of the biggest mistakes and what actually happened. So starting off with the minor exams or minor issues, we have the slight typos in both the geography and the physics exams. The geography exam had a question mark that should have been a full stop, and physics had something quite similar. Really minor issues here. They caused no major impact in the exams. However, in both cases, they did need correcting before the exam was issued. Now, this then brings us on to the major errors, starting off with the GCSE AQA Foundation Math Paper 3, where students were provided with the wrong formula sheet or insert in their exams. Now, as you can expect, this caused a great deal of confusion and distress among some of the students, as well as the staff and exam officers in the schools themselves. This caused them to have to call up AQA themselves, find out what the issue was, as well as run around and reprint all the foundation inserts that are needed. This caused delays in exams. It caused confusion among students. Now, there was only one supposed exam question that did need the formula sheet. However, it still is one question and disruptions across the entire exam itself. And AQA has come out and admitted this mistake. However, they have also stated that it was a supplier issue as opposed to something from their end, as their suppliers would have placed the inserts in the papers. Now, time will tell what will happen here to help counter the issue that had occurred. But they did state that there will be no students, or students will not be disadvantaged during the grading of these questions. The next major error from AQA, I've covered this before, was the system versus glider question. This was the last 5-mark calculation question on the combined physics higher paper 2 exam, where both the question and the answer line asked for two different answers. The question itself asked for the mass of the system, whilst the answer line stated that it wanted the mass of the glider. Now, in both cases, the question is still solvable, but it did act as a time sink and also cause confusion amongst students while sitting the actual question itself. Again, AQA has acknowledged this, and the mistake was passed on to Ofcall, the examining body who monitors all these exam boards to ensure that they are testing students in a fair manner. Now, they have stated that further updates will come out closer to the results day, so we'll just have to keep an eye out and see if there's any updates on this one. This then brings us on to Edexcel. Now, Edexcel had two major ones as well. Both of these were computing errors, both of them on the same paper, and it was the computer science paper 2. The first one was question 1, which included contradicting information or conflicting information, where the code printed on the exam paper didn't match the code that was on the file that students were provided. This meant that candidates were working from two different versions of the same program. And of course, time, again, I keep saying this, but time will tell what the correction will be here to help avoid students losing marks for exam errors from the exam boards themselves. The second error here, again, was on the same paper. However, question 5, students were instructed to open one text file, but were supplied with a file that used a different file name. Pearson later confirmed that candidates would not be penalized for this confusion. But again, as someone who isn't quite wasn't really a computing teacher, I'm not particularly sure of how impactful these errors were, but I'm sure you guys, or those of you that do sit or have sat the computer test, do let me know in the comments down below what major impacts this may have caused you. This then brings us on to past error updates. The one we're focusing on for this video is the OCR error from last year. And probably one of the biggest error in exam history in the UK, where there were 12 errors across A-level and AS physics from 1 year. And these errors spanned the exam papers, the mark schemes, and the materials themselves, as well as a few other little bits along with the test papers. Now, some of these corrections were made prior to students actually sitting the exam, which is always good to see. However, some were not. And the students who were affected were issued full marks for any particular affected candidates. There were adjustments made before results day to grade boundaries and marks allocated and marking as you would expect. However, quite a shame here, adjustments also had to be made after results day, which meant I believe it was roughly 40 odd students who had to have their grades adjusted even after results came out, because errors were still being picked up after that point, which, you know, not a great look there for OCR, with more than 14,000 candidates who sat that test or sat those exams, therefore being affected. As I said, making it one of the most significant recent cases involving exam paper errors there. From this, there were grade increases to those 40 odd students, I believe, who were affected after the results day, but also a £270,000 fine to the exam board. Now, the monetary aspect does place some ownership on the exam board, but of course it's not something that we still want to see, because it does affect the individual student sitting the exam there. So we'll just have to wait and see what the outcomes and the fixes to the exam errors from this year will be. I'll keep you as updated as I can as we go through. And I hope you found this video informative. Please do drop a comment down below. Anything that you spotted in your exams, were you affected by any of these? Any kind of issues from these exams, just drop them down below and I will get back to you. Wish you a great summer. Enjoy your rest. Best of luck on results day, and I'll see you in the next one.